morning. Good morning. You didn't have school? Are we late or no? Are we late? Good morning!
There is no solid ground under our feet. And the futility of making long-term plans with anything but the lightest touch, like maybe I'll stay with this person forever. Maybe they'll leave me for my best friend. Maybe I'll have children. Maybe I won't be. Like, we don't know what, like there's so much uncertainty. And so start there. Like, instead of starting with trying to, especially now, instead of starting with trying to wrench control out of chaos, which I feel like is the soul crushing thing. I feel like that is where the spirit gets pancaked, is when you're like, Byron Katie always says, whenever I argue against reality, I lose. One of the things you lose is joy, right? Because you're just in such a ferocious argument against life on life's terms, or as non-addicts apparently call it, life. Like, you're in such a ferocious argument against it that that's all you're doing, is like wrestling against it. And then how can you possibly find joy in that? So I think the acceptance of the chaos and the groundlessness is the beginning of the possibility of joy. Making sure that your life has a higher purpose than just having a life, which is already pretty incredible. Like, just having a life is already pretty amazing, but that's not good enough. It has to be a purposeful life. So this is the formula that we've all been fed, and we've been fed it our entire lives. You've heard it in every commencement speech. You've heard it in every inspirational speech. And it's, each of you is born with a special gift. Each of you has one unique offering. That's why you were sent here, to find what that is. the one thing that you can do that literally nobody else can do. It's your job in life, your purpose, to uncover what that thing is. And then once you find it, you must foster it and master it and curate it until you are at the top of that thing that only you can do. And then you must monetize it. Because if you don't monetize it, you're not really successful at it. It's just a hobby. So you must monetize it. But it's not enough to monetize it and be very successful at it. You must be an opportunity creator for other people within this purpose that you created, so that you bring other people, you uplift other people with your purpose. And it's not enough that you uplift other people with your purpose and you monetize it. You must leave a legacy. You must leave a legacy so that when you are gone, generations after you're gone, the world is a changed place because you were here. No pressure. But that is literally what you have been taught. Am I wrong? Is that not literally what you have been taught? So everybody that I know is struggling from so much purpose anxiety that they can't live. And what if that's totally wrong? No one ever questions it, but what if that's totally wrong? What if I have literally no idea what my purpose is? I don't know. I can take some guesses at it, but like, I remember walking down the street one time in Los Angeles before an event, and I had an hour to kill, and I was just noodling about. And there was a guy, and he had a ladder, and he was standing at the top of the ladder painting a sign on his awning. And the ladder was unstable, I could clearly see. And I grew up with a jackass father who was always at the top of a dumb ladder doing ridiculous things. So I'm programmed to like hold the ladder. So I ran across 4 lanes of traffic in LA and I held the ladder for 45 minutes for this guy. He didn't even know I was there. I had nothing else to do. Like, I just, and I was like, this is such a really great way for me because I don't have to worry about him, So I held the ladder and it was a nice day and it was fine. And as he came down, when he reached a period of safety, I peeled off and I walked away, and he never knew I was there. We never had any interaction. And as I walked away, I thought, this is when I gave up purpose anxiety. I was like, what if that was literally the purpose of my life? What if, not that kind of thing, but literally that? What if, they put me here because, they needed somebody in Sector 8, neighborhood 11 at 0900 hours in order to make sure that that guy didn't fall off his ladder because he's really needed for some little piece of the cosmic puzzle. And what if my purpose has been served and now I can just hang out, and what if all this other stuff I've done was just me killing time before they needed me at the ladder station that moment, what if you lived that way? Truly, what if you lived that way instead of the other way that I just laid out that makes me break out in hives? And you just looked for the next right thing to do, and while you were waiting to be notified of a ladder to hold, you could just do some paint by numbers and garden and hang out with people that you like.
It reminds me of the moment in Bill Murray's character for Groundhog's Day, where every day at a certain time he catches someone that falls down from a tree. And I imagine the rest of his day he was like, well, it's just kind of.
And I've got my appointment to catch them.
I do worry for one of the things that is a pretty unifying experience for everything happens type people is that they have either gone through something really difficult, and then there's an intensity around, well, what I have left is really precious to me. And so I think a lot of a feeling of desperation to make the most of everything, which can be heavy and light depending on how it feels in the day. And then also a lot of people who are what I love describing as emotionally expensive professions. So they feel deeply called to teaching, nursing, pastoring, a lot of showing up when they don't want to. Linda needs you there on Wednesday. Linda doesn't care how you feel Wednesday morning and if you slept, And I love hearing them describe the feeling of being called from outside of themselves. And yet I do feel the weariness of then not being able to do anything for no reason. I asked my beautiful, beautiful community, yes you are, to maybe write in some of the things that you used to do when you had free time. And there was a lot of surprising amount of piccolo, but climbing trees, finger painting, Irish dancing, writing poetry, a lot of like just doing it but being not afraid. Embroidery, gardening. People were very committed to rollerblading in, I don't think, the 90s. It felt current when I was reading it. But just the sense of, or dumb team sports. Like, maybe we're explaining pickleball right now. But the feeling of not having everything be quite so burdened, especially for people who have like a lot of obligations.
I have a friend who always says to me, Liz, she says, because that's my name. I don't know why I'm like an old-timey raconteur right now. She says to me, in my long life, I've learned, she says to me, is there anything you can't do just a little bit of? Like, is there anything, no matter how good, that you can't figure out a way to overdo? Like, is there any, like, so even the really good things that I do for my life, it's like always cranked up to 10, you know? And so if your calling is to serve, but you turn it into a grind, I'm not sure that's what the call was, right? And now I'm not saying that that's easy. Everything in this culture is a grind because it's a very pushy, grindy, hardcore culture, right? So it's difficult to do anything a little bit. Like the culture doesn't want you to do anything a little bit either. So you know, when you were saying about like getting